State has some big old girls.
This meeting
All
is
right.
being recorded.
All right,
We
everybody.
gotta read.
Welcome back to Fast Tags.
Oh, sorry.
Talking about the game, Arizona State playing game. We're going to get right to it. We're going to get to the brackets. There's nothing better than holding this baby in your hand. All right. Holding this baby in your hand, maybe one of the best things. I know everybody's got the groups on the phone, and that's okay. First thing I do on Selection Sunday, print
Print
this
it out.
off and get it in my hand. All right. And I know that's old school, but that's just the way it is for me. All right. And so, guys, we're going to go over this bracket, not game by game. We're just going to go over each region and how we think it's going to go. We're going to have what our Final Four is looking like, and then who our national championship winner will be. All right. So I have 2 questions for each region, and I want to start off with the South region. All right. Number 1 overall seed, Alabama, deserved it, smoked everybody in the SEC tournament. I mean, deserved the number 1 overall seed, I believe. And so, that kind of starts out Arizona number 2, the 3 being Baylor, the 4 Virginia. And so who do we think the dark horse in this kind of region will be? Is that kind of my question. And so I know San Diego State's in there, Missouri's in there, teams that can get hot, that play fast. Charleston can score the basketball, scores about 81 points per game, 82. So who are we thinking is a dark horse in this region? We'll start off with Garrett.
I actually think this region's pretty locked. Like the favorite should win this region, except first round, probably West Virginia. I don't really think an 8 over 9 is surprising. I like West Virginia a lot. And Utah State would be like my only 2 that I think could potentially go deep. They're above, say a 7 seed. But I think my favorite team that's say above a 4 seed would be San Diego State. I think San Diego State. I got them going pretty far. So that would probably be my one team in this division I like a lot.
I agree. If they beat Charleston, I think they are very capable of beating. Okay, I know it's 2 completely different ball teams, and Alabama has played a lot better talent this year. But if they can slow Charleston down and have a good game against them, I think they can have a good game against Alabama. And I agree, San Diego State is my dark horse also. I have them beating Alabama going to the Elite 8.
I've actually got Charleston over San Diego State. But the team I want to talk about is the Arizona Wildcats. This is a team that we know they can play fast. We know they've got the bigs to do it, to run up and down the floor, but they can also play slow with you. We saw them play my Tennessee Volunteers, and Tennessee tried to slow them down on defense, right? And Arizona still ended up winning that game. So they can play slow with the best. They can play fast with the best. And I think they have the guys, guards and big men, to match up with a team like Alabama, who they might have to eventually face in the Elite 8. So I love the matchups here. And I just love the culture in Arizona. It's about time they got a national championship down there again. So I'm taking Arizona. But I have been very impressed with Alabama playing this well, despite all the distractions. I think Nate Oates has done an incredible job with it, and the players have still bought in. And look, Brandon Miller, he's getting, jeered at every game, and he's used it as motivation, I guess. He's still averaging 20 and 8 a game. That's pretty good for college stats. So I love Alabama, but love Arizona even more here.
So Tyler, what was the question again that you asked?
Who is the dark horse and as a number 2?
He goes with the 1 and 2 seeds. Are you kidding me?
Was that the question?
On,
yeah.
Okay. You want a dark horse?
Dig deep.
You want a dark horse?
I want a dark horse. Give me a dark horse.
If Missouri gets hot for 3, nobody's stopping them. And that scares me because they'll play Arizona in round 2. They are the definition. You guys were talking about somebody on the show before the show, live by the 3, die by the 3. Missouri is the textbook definition of living and dying by the 3. And they get hot, they're gonna be tough to stop. And so that's a team. I don't think you want to play Missouri. I think they might be the toughest 7 seed in the tournament.
Texas A&M has to be the toughest 7 seed in the tournament. But I don't know. Mizzou, like, you can't have a bottom half. Like, they're literally in the bottom half of the whole NCAA, and defense. I don't see them going very far. That's the only problem I see with them.
Yeah, but I see with the dark horse, I don't know, maybe dark horse, you think a team that, get to the Final Four. A dark horse to me can win a few games. And like I said, they can get hot enough where they can beat anybody. I'm not saying they're going to win the national championship, but they're good enough to hang around.
I think a dark horse, a dark horse team would West Virginia, if 9 seed or above, which they are dead on a 9 seed.
I agree.
I mean, you
completely.
got to
I have
realize
no
that
idea what you
team
said,
is-
but I agree.
that team 17th in the country in KenPom, and they
What team?
have a
West Virginia.
top West
okay.
Virginia. They're 15th and they're 15th in offense and 53rd in defense. I mean, and they have a decent tempo at 105. The story about this side of the bracket though is that if Alabama and Arizona meet up, that game is going to be insane, and you might see 100 points scored just based on the tempo of that game. Like that, the both top 10 in the NCAA.
Yeah, I mean, my dark horse, and I don't know if it's a dark horse, they might be too high a seed, is Alabama. So I'm just kidding. My dark horse, no, and in all seriousness, I think my dark horse, and again, they might be too high a seed for this, is Creighton. They can play along with the best people. They gave Kansas a run for their money last year as a 9 seed, I believe. In the round of 32. And so, I mean, bringing back a lot of players, and having that veteran presence. I think is it Doug McDermott or Greg McDermott, something like that. Having another good season with Creighton.
Not Doug.
Huh?
Doug's in the NBA.
Yeah, I forget what. I'll tell you.
I think it's Greg McDermott, isn't it?
That's his dad. Yeah, that's the coach.
The coach of Creighton. Yeah,
Greg. It's Greg. Yep.
Greg McDermott. Just a well-coached team. I have them going to the Sweet 16 and then getting beat by Arizona, but it was a long thought process. I really almost had them beating Arizona. I have them, going the next round and beating Baylor, and then going to the Sweet 16. And I really had I still got time. Maybe I might switch it to them going to Elite Eight, but I think Arizona has the guards and the big men to beat Creighton. Sometimes Arizona to me is very inconsistent in guard play. Even though they have veteran guards, I feel like sometimes they're very inconsistent. So that's why I have Alabama kind of edging them out to win this region in the South.
Yeah, I have San Diego State, Arizona, and eventually Arizona State. Sorry, that's on my screen. Arizona going to the championship or Final Four, but eventually the championship. I have them in the championship.
I have San Diego State winning this region. I have them going to the Final Four.
You guys
That's
know what I
my
have.
one.
I've got
That's my
Arizona.
one.
You got
I got
Arizona.
Arizona over
Tyler, who do you have
Alabama.
winning this?
No games in this region.
Who do I have?
Yeah.
Alabama.
Okay. Garrett has San Diego State. I have Arizona, and Fish has Arizona. All right.
Look, and look, I'll just be honest about it. This is just an eye test, not going off any numbers. The way they played in the SEC tournament, I do not see anybody in this region really touching them, maybe other than Arizona. That's just the way I think about it. If they play the way they did in the SEC tournament, they are like, I mean, I don't see them having any trouble until the Elite Eight with Arizona if they make it there. Let's go over to the Midwest. Houston getting that #1 overall seed. The big storyline there is the health of Marcus Sasser. I think that's his name, Marcus. I know his last name is Sasser, but groin injury. Teams that are in this: Miami, Indiana, Iowa State, Pitt, Texas A&M. Maybe getting a little disrespect from the committee being a 7 seed, making the SEC championship.
Yes.
I think maybe kind of sticking it back to Buzz Williams after really, getting after the committee last year for not being in the tournament. Which, I mean, I don't really necessarily disagree with him, but this is kind of what you have to deal with when you trash talk the committee, and now you're in a place where you can get a kind of a high seed, and they can stick you with a 7 seed and play Penn State. Pretty hot Penn State team at that. Made it to the Big Ten championship game. A lot of upsets. I feel like I've been seeing kind of the national media. In the national media, kind of saying there's going to be a lot of upsets in this region. Again, who is the dark horse? And at the end, we'll kind of go over our winners type thing. And let's go backwards here. Let's go around the horn again. Fisher, let's start us off.
I'm excited to hear Fisher's dark horse. It's probably
My
going to be
dark
Houston or
horse.
Texas.
God, you got me. I like Drake. I like Drake to win a game. I like Drake to beat Miami. And Miami is a very intriguing team. We've talked about them, but I'm going to show the Missouri Valley some love. And we know that some of these Missouri Valley teams get it done. Hey, I've got another 2 seed coming out of the region, though. I've got Texas. We talked about how dominant they were in last week. I know some recency bias, but they're getting hot at the right time and beating a team like Kansas by what they beat them by, like 22 points or something. So that's huge.
Yeah,
And we've watched them all year. And that's another team where, kind of like Alabama, they had a big distraction in the middle of the season, and you're thinking they're going to fold, and they don't. They just feed off it. So give me Texas. I also like Indiana to go to the Elite Eight. I got them beating Houston. Houston's a team. We kind of talk about the same thing with Gonzaga as far as the competition that they play can be tough to trust come March. So I love Indiana. I love their explosiveness. And obviously Trace Jackson Davis and Shafino, I think the best duo in college basketball. So give me Indiana.
I would probably have to go. I like the Drake. I have actually going to the Sweet 16 because I think Drake. Obviously, me and Tyler were talking about this before the pod about Miami. If Miami's center does not play, I like Drake a lot in that one. And then I also really like how Kent State matches up against Indiana, slowing the pace down. And Indiana has some young guards. I think if you slow the pace down and make every possession count, you can beat Indiana. That's for sure. So I like Kent State. I have actually both those upsets. Those are my 2 upsets in this region that are big. But the one, so I have Drake in the Sweet 16, and then I have Iowa State in the Sweet 16. I think Iowa State. I like them to beat Pitt, and I think although Xavier's been pretty good here lately, I just like Iowa State. I like the Big 12. I like the Big 12 a lot, and Iowa State can defend. And if Kalsher gets hot from deep, that team can go as far. That team can go to the Elite Eight, if not the Final Four, if Kalsher gets hot.
Aaron.
Honestly, I don't have very many huge upsets in this region. I have Pittsburgh beating Iowa State. The thing that goes against your guys' picks is I have Miami in the Sweet 16. I love their guard play. What's the little guy's name?
Wong.
Isaiah Wong.
No.
And Nigel Pack.
Pack. Yes, Pack and Wong are 2 very take over the game type of guards. So if one's off, you can give the other one the ball. But if they're both on, I mean, that's even better. So I think they have 2 guards that they trust. And we've talked about this before. In March Madness, guards win games. And I think if they get hot, they could go to the Elite Eight. But I have them beating Drake, have them beating Indiana, and then I have Houston finally beating them in Sweet 16. But if I had a dark horse, it'd be them. But also Texas A&M, I really like them. I have them beating Texas, going to the Sweet 16, and then Xavier finally beating them. So I guess those are my 2 dark horses, Miami and Texas A&M.
Can we talk about how crazy it would be if Texas plays Texas A&M in the second round?
Love it.
Like Texas rivalry kind of situation like that. That might get a little dangerous down in Texas.
I mean, it's in Des Moines, Iowa, but that's okay.
I know it's in Des Moines.
I was looking at the location.
I know it's. I'm just saying.
It's gonna get rowdy. You know what? It's gonna get rowdy in Des Moines, Iowa. Maybe the rowdy. But anyway, in this region, I know a lot of people are picking upsets. I don't like the upsets here, other than maybe Pitt beating Iowa State. That might be the only really upset that I have. I might have Miami going to Elite Eight. That's kind of the dark horse I have is Miami. Just like Aaron said, the guards Wong and then Packett, playing pretty well. With Sasser not being 100%, that takes Houston to me almost. With Sasser, they can win a national championship. Without him, I think Sweet 16, Elite Eight is kind of their cap. And so if he's not 100% and he's not playing to the level he usually plays at, then I think they're vulnerable. I think Miami, getting through Drake and Indiana, like Aaron said, I think Miami can beat them with the guard play of Wong and Packett, I think. And so I have Texas A&M again. I think they're underseeded, but I have playing Texas. I think Texas is with a Sasser injury. I think Texas is the best team in this region. I don't think it's particularly close with the way that they played in the Big 12 tournament, especially in the Big 12 championship game. I know it's recency bias, but it's all about what team is hot coming in the tournament. Other than if maybe one other team, there are probably two other teams, Alabama, another team we're going to talk about. They're probably one of the hottest. And so, they've dealt with adversity with, their coach being, coach being arrested. And so they've dealt with that adversity, and they've they never, and you think about it, we thought, there's going to be a big drop off with Texas, and this coach has really brought, this good, we always talk about the program. He's brought a good program back in after this kind of, these distractions with Chris Beard, and they never went out of the top 12 in the AP. And so, which is ridiculous considering the circumstances. So he brought a good program in, and he just kept on going with the horses that he's had. I really like it. So I like Texas to come out of this region and to be in the Final Four in Houston. And again, so this one is, so the Final Four is in Texas, Garrett, and so Texas in the Final Four
in Houston.
In Houston, yeah. And so I think this will be. I think Texas will come out of this region. Anything else on that? So I got Texas. Fish, who do you got?
I got Texas for the same reasons. And by the way, I did want to say I do have Iowa State to the Sweet 16 as well. Talking about one of the nation's best defenses. That means a lot in March. And fun fact here, Ben Henson on Pittsburgh, he's their best player. He actually played at Iowa State for a year, but he didn't play because it was a COVID year. And he took his COVID year. I think he was injured. So I don't know. Just a fun fact. I just learned that. I don't know anything about Pittsburgh besides that. And Texas, like you said, man, they fight through the adversity, just like Alabama. They've impressed me. They never really drop. So put me Texas Final Four.
And honestly, like to me, it's a different set of adversity. Obviously with Alabama and Texas, but this is kind of what you want to see in a team. You know what I mean? You're going to go through this tournament, and from March 16th or 17th through April 3rd, it's a grind. You're going to deal with adversity, whether it be with storylines, with the media, with how you play, things, this, that, and other. Teams like Alabama and Texas, again, a lot more serious circumstances, but at the same time, they've dealt with this the whole entire season. And so they might be a little bit more prepared mentally for things that in that nature. That's not why I have Texas to be in the Final Four, but that's just something to think about, I think. And so going straight down to the West region, you have Kansas, being the number 1, 3rd overall seed. And St. Mary's being the 5 seed. I think that's interesting. UConn being a 4. I think this is the best region. Gonzaga being the 3, UCLA being the 2. And probably the best first round matchup to me in Arkansas and Illinois. That is a tough draw for both teams, really. And so Garrett, we can start with you, or Aaron, let's start with you. And who's going to be the dark horse out of this? And you can talk about the region a little bit, like we have been.
So, if we want to say dark horse, a 4 seed probably isn't a dark horse, but I have UConn winning the entire March Madness. And if you want to call them a dark horse, a lot of people aren't looking at them. Like you said, Tyler, tough bracket right here. Tough region. I think if they beat Kansas, they go on to beat Gonzaga, and I think they'll just stay hot from there on out. I really don't have a dark horse in this. I have VCU upsetting St. Mary's, and then Arizona State upsetting TCU. That's pretty much it. Nothing
I'll give
crazy.
you I'll give you a dark horse in this one. That's because I've watched a lot of Mountain West.
Dear gosh. But I have UConn going as a 4 seed, so nothing too crazy for me. I also like Gonzaga. I think I'll be whoever wins between UConn and Gonzaga in the Elite Eight. I think we'll go on to play in the championship and win it. So
Garrett.
But I'll give you a dark horse right now. And this team can play. You have it's the Boise State Broncos if you're going to put dark horse out there. I mean, you have two guys that can absolutely shoot the ball with Deacon Hart and Max Rice on this team, and then Marcus Shaver is just an absolute energy guy. I've watched Boise State the last couple games that they played. Listen, I mean, San Diego State, I thought I had them going far. San Diego State and Boise State, same conference. They were the 1-2 seeds. They battled it hard every single game. I like that they played. I love Boise State, especially against Northwestern. This one, I'm big fade the Big Ten. And don't be surprised if Boise State gives UCLA a run for their money without Jalen Clark. That's a big blow for UCLA. That I would argue UCLA is the worst 2 seed. And
I agree.
And right now, I would take Marquette over them. I would take Arizona. I would take Texas. I think all 3 of those 2 seeds are better just because UCLA lost Jalen Clark. If Jalen Clark's there, they're the best. I'd probably put them over Texas even. I mean, that UCLA team's good, but losing Jalen Clark, your probably second best player, is a huge blow, especially this late in the season. So, but I guess overall, I have Kansas winning this. I mean, I think it's between Kansas and UConn. I don't think anyone on the bottom side of the bracket can really give anyone a severe run for their money. But I mean, I have TCU actually beating Gonzaga second round.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean it. I know.
I think Mike Miles is anything's possible.
Fish, go ahead.
I'm glad Tyler is on the Gonzaga train with me because this is Drew Timmy's farewell. He is one of the best villains, if you want to call him a villain, in recent memory. You don't see it much anymore where a guy sticks around for 4 years and his team's always on top. He's always in the mix. Kind of like, we saw it with Grayson Allen a few years ago with Duke. But I love it. And he's a much better player than Grayson Allen, by the way. And love this team, love this coach. But I still have to go with Kansas in my Final Four right now. Because at the end of the day, you know what you're getting with Kansas. Even with Bill Self questionable, there's other guys on that staff that are going to step up. And we know how good the players have been all year. I'm not going to take into that Texas game, that 20-point game. I'm not going to read too much into that. Texas is like the hottest team in the nation right now. So I'm not going to read into that. Give me Kansas. And I don't really have any big upsets here. But I will say with UCLA, when you lose the Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year, and that is a defensive-minded team, one of the best defenses in the nation. When you lose your main rock, other guys are going to have to step up, and I don't know if they can fill those big of shoes.
Yeah.
UCLA is actually the best defensive team in the nation. Like, they are number 1. So, and you're losing your best guy. Like, that's huge. I hate to say it. Like, that's huge.
It is. I mean, it is. My thoughts on this region. Since I graduated high school in 2016, the Mountain West is 2-12 in tournament games.
Yeah.
They've only made one Sweet 16, I think, in the last 16 years, I think is what they said. I feel like I heard that. And so here's the thing. I have Boise State winning, but I do not see them as a dark horse. I know Garrett said it and went on it. I've watched a lot of Mountain West. I mean, you're seeing it right now. They're on the way to 12-13 in the tournament with this Nevada Arizona State game. I mean, they are just not good. They're not good. And so I think a lot of teams will have Boise State in that. I have Boise State winning that because I don't really believe in the Big Ten too much. Anyway, I'm on the dark horse. Okay. I think you guys know what I'm about to say. Maybe. It was always the Muss Bus when it came to this podcast. And look, you can say what you want about it. I know I'm annoying about it. But in the last 2 years, they made 2 Elite Eights. This guy knows how to coach in the tournament. He knows how to get his guys up for the tournament. Granted, he had probably better players last year, but 2 years ago, he probably could have said the same thing about this year. I don't think they make it I don't think they make an Elite Eight. I think they make a Sweet 16. But I think Arkansas can make the Sweet 16. I have them beating Kansas in the second round. I think they're a team that can do it. And if they don't do it, UConn's going to do it the next round. That's just how I feel about it. Kansas sometimes, and I know Garrett's going to not agree with me, they just don't show up. Sometimes it just seems like they don't show up at times. And I know that this coach team, Bill Self-coach team, I get it. They won last year. It's tough to go back to back though. So I don't see them. I see them kind of fading off in the Sweet 16.
No, I understand what you're saying. I just think that this team also, like, I don't know about fading would be the time. I mean, Kansas doesn't win that conference championship very often. If you look at it stat wise, they have I think they've won 2 of the last 6 years, that conference championship. And you've seen them make a pretty good sized run 2 or 3 years in the I'm just saying I don't know if that is totally true. The years they've won it, they haven't done very well in the tournament. So
what I'm saying is that there have been games, whether it be in the regular season or in the championship game, where they just seem like they just don't want to play. I'll just be honest about it. They don't show up. There's not very much effort. There's not eye test. Sometimes they get absolutely blown out by teams that they should be close or win. You can't disagree with that.
And Bill Self's about to die.
they've lost 3 games by 10 over 10. That's it.
And
I'm just saying, like, it's just I would have to disagree with a little bit on the not showing up whenever 27-7.
Okay, and I get that, but in a conference game, you should get up for the freaking conference game. And then when you get blown out by conference teams, I mean, that's just
They got blown out by Texas.
You're getting beaten, and I don't care if Bill Self's not there or not. You cannot tell me that they show up getting beat by 22 against the Texas team in the championship game. I mean, you can't tell me that is like showing that doesn't really mean anything. It's the freaking championship game.
Oh, I'm not disagreeing. I wasn't really happy about it, but I'm just saying I don't think that's going to play as big of a factor as you think.
I think Arkansas is beating them in the second round.
I think Arkansas has the potential to win. Wouldn't be terribly surprised, but I'm kind of with Garrett here. I mean, it's a whole new season, man. That conference tournament is done. And Kansas, they went on a run of winning like 10 regular season titles in a row. But when we're talking about the conference tournament, it's not like Kansas wins the Big 12 conference tournament every year. It's a conference tournament. It's just like March Madness. It's one and done, right?
I didn't say anything about the past years. I said things about this year's team not showing up in big games. They got blew out in the regular season by conference teams. They got blew out by 22 in the championship game.
Tyler, Kansas has more quad 1 wins than any other team, so you can't tell me they don't show up in big games. When you play a big game, every game is a
conference game is a quad 1.
Tyler.
Yeah, because that conference is the best conference nation.
Kansas not only is a blue blood and schedules good.
I don't care about blue bloods. I don't care.
You're not listening. Hey, listen to me. They're a blue blood, so they're going to schedule good teams non-conference. Is that right? Is that correct? Garrett, tell me that's correct. And they play in the Big 12.
I mean, they
got battles night in, night out. They're playing big games 2 or 3 times a week. So of course they're going to lose some. They're not going to go 33-0. That's a ridiculous argument.
It's not a ridiculous argument. I'm saying in conference games, you should get up for conference games. Am I not wrong on that?
That's the last 18, 20 games of your season. You're not going to play perfect every single game.
No one said to play perfect.
So what
you're
do you
saying?
Have to say
get up.
about...
You're
get up for the game.
Get up.
Some teams
Sometimes
have
you
a
have
bad
off
night,
nights.
Tyler.
So,
You-
so what are we gonna say about like Texas losing over 4 conference games by 10+ points?
I mean, their coach got arrested for beating the crap out of his wife. I mean, what are we talking about here?
Kansas
But you were
doesn't
just
have Bill
talking about
Self.
their new coach coming in.
Kansas doesn't have Bill Self. They're without their coach.
Oh my gosh. I mean, they got beat by over 10 with Bill Self in the regular season.
It's a big game. It's Big 12.
Oh my gosh.
I
All
think
right.
we're reading way too into this. You act like they're playing cupcakes. They're playing big games every
Like they're
week. They're not going to play
cupcakes. They're acting
perfect.
like they're playing in the conference, and I'm just seeing what I see. If it's wrong, it's wrong. I've been wrong before on this show many times. If it's wrong, it's wrong. If Arkansas loses by 20, I'll say, look, I'm wrong. I mean, I'll say it. I'll be the first one.
Arkansas could very well win. I just
could.
I don't get what you're saying.
I would just give Arkansas like a 25% chance of winning. I'm gonna side with Kansas 75% of the time
All right.
on that
I
one.
got Arkansas. I got Arkansas going to Sweet 16. I think they're kind of the dark horse in this region. UConn, I've been on UConn all year. I have them going to the Elite Eight, a team that is going under the radar and is and probably, I think when it comes down to the Elite Eight, Gonzaga and UConn in the Elite Eight, I think it'll come to coaching. I think Hurley sometimes struggles. So I think Mark Few is the better coach there, as much as I make fun of him for not putting his keys in the basket, not drinking and driving. I think he's a better coach out of those two. So I have Gonzaga making it to the Final Four there. That's just and again, it could be UConn. Honestly, I think Gonzaga on that lower part, I kind of got locked in. I don't really see any other team beating them in that lower part. I think it's two teams. Realistically, and I know I have the upset with Arkansas, I think it's Kansas or UConn in that upper part for the Elite Eight to me. So, and again, it could be that coaching matchup and that Self and Hurley thing, same thing. Self, could outcoach Hurley in that aspect as well. So I just don't, I have UConn win that game. UConn, Gonzaga, Elite Eight, Gonzaga, Final Four. So I got Gonzaga. Fish got Kansas. Right? Garrett's got Kansas. Who you got, Aaron?
UConn.
Okay. All right. Going to the last one. To me, the weakest one seed in Purdue.
Nope.
I don't think it's particularly close for the weakest one seed. Marquette, the 2 seed. Kansas State, the 3 seed. And then Tennessee.
High 3 seed, in my opinion.
The what?
I think they are way overranked.
I think so too. I was just about to say that. I'm not a big fan of Kansas State.
Okay, so I'm just gonna put this out there. I would agree that they might be one of the I'd put Gonzaga above them. I'd probably put Xavier. I don't know about Baylor. I'd argue Kansas State's better than Baylor here down the stretch.
I think Baylor's high up too. I think they're too high.
If Kansas State had Lampkin, they are in the perfect spot. They lost Lampkin. Lampkin's not playing for them the rest of the year. If Lampkin was there, they are a dangerous 3 seed. I mean, so I don't know about that one.
I don't know. You look at some of the teams they've lost to, and I know it's a different season, but
They have the best backcourt, and I would argue they have the best backcourt in the NCAA. If you include Keontae Johnson as the 2. Marquise Noel and Keontae Johnson are absolute buckets.
I think he's more of a 3. But
Okay, that's fine. You can put him at the 3. I'm still saying that that. Lampkin's on TCU, by the way. I don't know why I was thinking Lampkin. That doesn't make any sense.
they're both.
I forgot it was. Yeah, I forgot that they don't have Lampkin. It's Tomlin. That's really good. Anyways, I think Kansas State is pretty ranked about right. Would be my opinion.
All right. So who is he being a dark horse, Fish?
I think it's going to be tough for Tennessee and Duke to meet up in the second round. Now, right now, I have them both winning their first round games. I actually do have Tennessee in the Final Four because I'm a homer and I think it's the weakest region. And I think Purdue's the weakest 1 seed. So I'm like, what the heck? I mean,
Might as
when we
well.
talked about Purdue, I'm
Might as
I'm
well.
on Purdue more than Tyler is. I'm on Purdue more than Tyler is. But anyway, look, Louisiana and Oral Bobs are two teams that can get in a little shootout, and we know how inconsistent Tennessee's offense can be. And Duke's gotten hot at the right time, but this isn't the Duke in years past. And sticking with that theme, Kentucky's the 6th seed. This isn't the Kentucky of years past. We could very well see Providence win that game as well. So there's a lot of, and I think me and Aaron discussed this yesterday. I think this is a region where if you hit money line for the 11, 12, 13, I don't like Montana State money line, but 11, 12, 13, I think you're going to make some money, especially in this region. I think we're going to see a lot of upsets. So I do have Tennessee in the Final Four. As far as upsets, I could really see Oral Bobs getting it done. And I do think the Michigan State and USC matchup is very intriguing. It doesn't seem that many people are talking about it, but that'll be a good one to watch on Friday morning. You're talking about Tom Izzo, who I know he hasn't won in a long time, but he's still had a lot of tournament success, a lot of Final Four appearances. We've seen him take, 8 seeds to the Final Four before. And this is a region where he could do that again.
Aaron?
I really, really, really like Providence up until their last 3 or 4 games. They've been on a losing streak. I mean, let's see.
I mean, they lost the tournament.
They lost the last 3. They lost to Xavier by 5, Seton Hall by 24, and then lost to UConn by 7.
Yeah. So, I mean, you lose to UConn 2 games out of your last 5. Xavier, they're both 2 good teams, but the Seton Hall game kind of scares me. Providence, they definitely have, so a lot of returning guys from last year. They're somewhat long. They're starting 5 all in double digits. I hate Kentucky, and I just made this decision about 10 minutes ago looking at my bracket. I have Providence upsetting Kentucky.
Same.
That is my dark horse, is Providence. Like we said just a little bit ago, new season, basically, March Madness. I think that if they get clicking, they could make Sweet 16. And I'm actually going to make that move, them going to the Sweet 16 playing Marquette. It might not be a popular pick, but that's just how I feel. I don't like Kentucky. People have been hyping them up the past couple weeks because they're quote unquote hot. But if you look at their last how many games, let's see. Let's just go back to Tennessee. So they beat Tennessee, and everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, they're so good." And then they go and they play Florida, and they only win by 8 to a bad Florida team. And they beat Auburn terribly, but I mean, it's Auburn. Then you lose to Vanderbilt. Then you beat Arkansas, who's are they 7 seed? What are they? 8 seed. And then they lose to Vanderbilt again. So I don't understand why there's so much hype behind them. They are getting better than they were, but I think Providence can upset them. And then I have Memphis upsetting Purdue. So my Sweet 16 is Memphis, Duke, Providence, Marquette. I have Duke and Marquette, and then I have Duke beating Marquette. So that's how my, East region? Yeah, East region goes. Providence is my dark horse, but I have Marquette beat them in the Sweet 16.
Garrett, have you went yet?
I have not. I would have to reach just Providence is by far the dark horse at 11th seed. This team was pretty good in the Big East. I mean, you've saw them; they've already beat Marquette earlier in the year. Grant, it was really early in the year by 103 points. They put up 103.
They beat them by 103 points.
No, they won 103-98. But still, crazy. That's a stupid high stat total. But if you ask me, this is Marquette's division to lose. The way they played in that East tournament, they deserved every bit of this. I think the easiest side of the bracket or division of the bracket, whatever you want to call it. I think this is by far the easiest one. I think Marquette just has an easy way all the way to the Elite Eight, where they will. I mean, it'll be them or Kansas State. I have those two matchup in the Sweet 16. I think Kansas State could knock them off, but I don't like anybody else really. I think it's Marquette or Kansas State pretty much on this side, because I don't see Purdue lasting very long on this, and I don't trust the youth of the Duke Blue Devils. And with Tennessee losing Ziegler, it's you got to have a point guard. It's March Madness, so that's like the one thing that I was taking into consideration. So I think it's Marquette or Kansas State's vision to lose.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Vols have a point guard, but just losing one of your guards, period. I think I'm talking myself into taking Michigan State over Marquette in the second round. I think I might do it. That might be my upset for this. You just talk about an experienced team that shoots the three well. You got veteran leadership, and you got a team that isn't afraid to go out and play other really good teams early on in the season. Michigan State's the only Big Ten team in the top 10 in strength of schedule in the nation. So, they've been playing good teams for 3.5 months now. And I think that's going to help them out. So it's a Tom Izzo team, man. You can't count them out.
Here's a stat about Shaka Smart. He's only made it past the first weekend one time.
With?
And it's when he was an 11 seed.
Yeah, VCU.
When he was bald.
He was bald. He's the baldest guy I've ever seen look like a chia pet. Okay. And so no, but I mean that's just I feel like that's an important stat. First time he's made it past the first weekend was his first year in the tournament with VCU, obviously going to the Final Four. But then when he went to Texas, kind of disappointment there. I think this is second or third year with Marquette. And so I think that I kind of like Fisher's thinking there with Michigan State beating Marquette. But I think if Marquette does get out of that, Michigan State matchup, I think they kind of cruise to the Elite Eight, beating Kentucky or Kansas State. I think I have Kentucky in that, but then having going to the Elite Eight, and to me, I have them playing Duke. I talked about Alabama. I talked about,
You have Kentucky going to the Elite Eight?
Marquette.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have Kentucky beating Providence, and then Kentucky beating Kansas State. And then I have Marquette and Kentucky in the Sweet 16, Marquette winning that matchup. And so I talked about Alabama being hot. I talked about Texas being hot. And I think the third hottest team, or in that group of three of hot teams right now, is Duke. They're playing their best basketball. I think they're on like a 9-game win streak. I think that to say they're not the Duke of old is not really fair. The only really difference is they don't have Coach K. They still got the 4 and 5 stars, all over. They still got lottery picks all over the floor. And so I think that that's not necessarily fair. I think the only difference is Coach K is not there. I think Jon Scheyer has coached this team up really well. I think that this is just me looking from the outside in. Coach K just kind of had 4 and 5 stars and just said, go play. I think there's a little bit more coaching, a little bit more X's and O's with Jon Scheyer on the helm. And I think that's kind of the difference maker over these past 10 games, I think, for Duke. They're starting to really believe in the system. Jon Scheyer's got in Jeremy Roach, Filipowski playing pretty well. Filipowski especially. And so biggest upset, I watched them play today. I have FDU beating Purdue. 16-1. I know it's only happened one time ever. But if you watch this FDU team, they spread the floor out. Their big man spreads it out, can shoot the three. The only problem is they don't know if they have an answer for Zach Edey, but we saw it last year with St. Peter's. We were there, boots on the ground, no big deal. Boots on the ground. St. Peter's really only guarded the guards. They let Sheway go to work, but they focused on the guards. The guards didn't play well. St. Peter's, that was a recipe for them to win. I think FDU can do the same thing. If we found out if you pressure the ball against Purdue, you do 3/4 full court press, those young guards with Purdue cannot handle it. They cannot. I mean, they turned the ball over 10 times in a row, maybe in the Penn State game. I mean, it was crazy. So I think FDU I just have them because I don't like Purdue. I have them beating it. If they don't win, that's whatever. But then I have Memphis. Honestly, I think Purdue probably wins that game. I think they get beat by Memphis, in all honesty, in the second round, in the round of 32. Then Memphis playing Duke. I had Duke Marquette, Duke in the Final Four. And I think if you're really going to pick a dark horse team, to me, it's Memphis. I think Memphis could go to the Final Four in this region. I think if they beat Duke, they can go all the way to the Final Four. Penny Hardaway kind of had some controversy with James Wiseman, that first season. And then it kind of has went under the radar, it seems like, last few years. And now they're a lot of people I feel like are kind of on them here. Another thing to think about with Providence, I know I'm kind of rambling, so I'm going to stop here in a second. Providence, there has been a lot of talks of Ed Cooley leaving Providence and going to Georgetown. And so in conference, move there. But I think he's kind of hit the peak of where Providence can go. And that's just my opinion. But Georgetown is I wouldn't call it a blue blood. I'd say it's probably second, third tier blue bloods. And has a lot more money pumping in when it comes to alumni and NIL money and things like that, I would think, other than Providence. So I think those kind of rumors surrounding Providence could affect, the Providence team as well, because he's been there for a long time. And, he's kind of, you think of, when I think of Providence, I think of Ed Cooley. Him going to Georgetown within the Big East is kind of interesting to me anyway, but we can go over our Final Fours and then talk about our championship winner.
Here's something. I'm not trying to be racist at all. Is it coincidence that Georgetown hires black head coaches? Have they ever not had a black head coach?
I don't know.
Well, I don't think it is with Ewing, just because of the history he had there.
Yeah. No, I'm just like, I don't think, like,
But
in my memory,
who was it before Ewing?
They had Ewing.
It
What-
was
On the team in the
what's
80s.
his face? Tal guy's son, Thompson.
John Thompson, and then they went to Craig Earschrack. That guy has to be.
He has to be white.
Yeah, I don't know.
Does not have a picture on Wikipedia.
But yeah, I mean, we can talk about our Final Fours and kind of go into national champion. Then we'll rip through the games, spreads for Thursday's games.
Sounds good.
So I mean, I can start off with kind of what last every time. So I have Alabama playing Duke, and then I have Texas playing Gonzaga. Alabama playing Duke. I think you're talking about probably the two hottest teams in the country right now. Alabama.
Hey, let's do Elite Eight first.
Okay, so I have
'Cause
Alabama.
I have some interesting teams.
Okay, yes. So I'll just go through them all, and then everybody can go through them all. And then, so Alabama, Arizona. I think Alabama in this region, they kind of have it set up to where teams want to play that fast style of basketball, and that nobody plays better fast style basketball than Alabama. And so I think if you're wanting to run the tempo and do everything else, teams that are in this region want to run the floor. West Virginia, Charleston, Creighton to a certain extent, Arizona, they want to run the floor. Even though Arizona can play slow, they want to run the floor, and that's their style of game. No one plays that style of game better than Alabama. And so I think Alabama wins, goes to the Final Four. I think Duke Marquette, I think matchup wise, it's a problem for Marquette when you have Filipowski and Jeremy Roach. Jeremy Roach has been playing pretty good ball. As of late, Filipowski has been playing great all year, lottery pick. And so I think that Filipowski and Jeremy Roach lead this team to the Final Four. Miami and Texas, I have Miami in there. It all depends on if the center plays, but it seems like he's going to play. Miami with the guards and Wong and Packett, superstar. Those type of superstars lead teams through the tournament, going to the Elite Eight, playing Texas. Got Texas, moving on though at that point, because I just think they're the better overall team. Gonzaga and UConn, as much as I hate to say it, I think this is Drew Timmy's time to shine. I think it's a lot of matchup problems.
Oh, wow.
I think it's a lot of matchup problems for teams in this region in particular. I think Lampkin being out, I think TCU could be a good matchup if Lampkin was playing, but he's not. So I think Gonzaga gets through there, gets through UCLA. Obviously, we talked about the defensive defensive player of the year being out. UConn coming up. I think it's a coaching matchup. I think Few is a better coach. Gonzaga on the Final Four, so it's Alabama, Duke, Texas, Gonzaga.
All right, I've got pretty bland South region. I've got Arizona over Alabama. Like Tyler mentioned, two teams that love the fast-paced offense. So that's kind of a toss-up. Alabama's very hot right now, but I've got Arizona actually going all the way here. East, I've got Tennessee and Kansas State. Don't love either of those picks, but like we said, that's kind of a toss-up as far as the whole region. Duke would be a good pick. I wouldn't mind the Purdue pick either. I mean, they're the 1 seed for a reason. They played well in the Big Ten tournament. But I've got Tennessee, like I said, because I'm a homer. In the West, Kansas, Georgia, two of the best coaches, two of the best rosters, to be honest with you. And Drew Timme, like Tyler said, man, this is his farewell tour. Love him. Love his style of play. I do have Kansas. And then it gets interesting in the Midwest. I mean, Indiana and Texas, these are two programs that you talk about them being revived here to greatness, because Texas, basketball and football, some of the most passionate fans. I mean, that's where one of the most, as far as money, NIL, boosters. I mean, they have their own Longhorn network, right? I mean, they are just chomping at the bit to have good teams. And same thing with Indiana. That's a basketball state. Mike Woodson's revived the program. But give me Texas. They're hot. They got the dogs to compete with anybody. And then I've got Arizona over Texas in my championship.
And Texas wins the national championship or goes to the Final Four, we're counting it as an SEC win.
That's right.
I don't think that's how
the conference needs it.
Conference needs it, baby. Hey, Texas and Oklahoma, you're in. You're in a year early, but you're in now.
Hey, if we're doing that, Houston's a Big 12 team.
That's all right. I don't care about that.
Oh, okay, all right. I'll just go quick through mine. I have San Diego over Arizona in the South. I have Texas over Houston in the Midwest. Kansas over not over TCU. Yeah, I have Kansas over TCU. That one might change. In the West, and I have Marquette over Duke in the East.
Yeah,
I forgot that I chose TCU over Gonzaga. I might have to throw UCLA over TCU.
Destroy TCU if they play, in my opinion. Anyway,
with Lampkin out, yeah.
Elite Eight in the South, I have Arizona over San Diego State. In the East, I have Duke over Marquette. In the West, I have UConn over Gonzaga. And in the Midwest, I have Xavier over Houston.
All right, yeah. I mean, we can go over just real quick. I have Duke, Alabama, Texas, Gonzaga. I have Alabama beating Duke, Texas beating Gonzaga. I have Alabama, Texas winning the national championship.
Yeah, like I said, don't love it, but I do have Tennessee in the Final Four. Give me Arizona over Tennessee. Give me Arizona over Texas. Texas beating Kansas. Arizona over Texas in the finals.
I have Marquette beating San Diego State. I have Kansas beating Texas because I don't think Texas will beat them for a third time. And then I have Kansas over Marquette. A little bit biased, but I'll say
you're telling me you have Kansas winning it all.
I do. I have the Bill Self Nation feeling it.
I have
listen.
Arizona. Oh, okay.
They won it last year.
They did. That is true. They did win it last
year. They
year.
still have Jalen Wilson.
Last team to go back and back. Tell me.
Florida.
Good answer.
I'm just saying. And Bill Self I trust, and I trust DeJuan Harris with my life.
Can you name the starting five for Florida both years?
No, not both.
Corey Brewer.
Joakim Noah.
Joakim Noah. Al Horford.
Yes, that was
Shoot. Got
Come on. There's one more you should get.
Who's the guard?
Oh man.
I don't remember now.
Gosh dang it. Can't remember.
While you guys are thinking, that's kind of the reason why I might have picked Kansas to win it all this year, except for the fact that they won last year. I don't like that. I don't like picking repeats because you just don't see it much, especially in this format.
100%
Trying to go 12-0,
I mean, here's
12-0
the thing.
in this format.
You gotta think about that Florida team though. I mean, it's the same format of tournament, but literally their junior year, they won. All 5 of them came back, and that's
Yeah.
not happening really anymore at this day and age in basketball. And so you think of Joakim Noah and Horford and Brewer, and those are really the 3 guys that came back and said, "We're coming back to win it again." And the other guys followed. Joakim Noah was kind of the leader of that team at that point, and he said, "I'm coming back. We're all coming back." All came back, won it again with Billy Donovan at the helm. But you don't see that in this day and age. And but here's the thing, I think you could get back to that with NIL money, because you say,
Yep.
you go to a school like Texas or even maybe Tennessee or a big time school that wants a good basketball program and saying, "Listen, we won. We're going to make more money in NIL money than we will our first year in the NBA." And so
Look at Oscar Tshiebwe, National
Oscar
Player of the
Tshiebwe-
Year, comes back.
And then look at
Houston.
Armando Baker.
The whole
Right.
Houston team.
Yeah, we can talk about the Houston team. You can talk about Jalen Wilson.
yeah, and you might see that.
Yeah, I
again,
mean,
different.
Jalen Wilson was going to
see
be
that
first
with
round pick.
football, too. You might see that with football as well. You're making more money, and I know basketball probably pays a little bit more, but you probably get more money than you are, that first rookie. If you're not like a top 10 pick in the NFL, go back. You're going to make more money in college football.
Probably.
And anyway, let's go over some picks. I got picks. I'm just
Arizona, UConn championship. UConn wins it all. That's all.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, you're good.
All right, I'm just gonna go through my bets. The lines might have changed by the time since I wrote them down, so you can check me on it. I got West Virginia -2. I got Furman money line. I got Utah State -1.5. Charleston money line and the spread +5. I got Princeton +15. I got Arizona -1. Duke -6. Colgate
Wait.
+13.
Did you mean Auburn -1?
Yeah, sorry, Auburn -1.
Okay.
Colgate +13, Louisiana +12, Texas A&M -2.5, and UNC Asheville +17.5. I really like those 2 at the bottom, Texas A&M -2.5 and Asheville +17.5. I really like those a lot.
Yeah, I'll go through mine. I have a bet for every single game. I have West Virginia -2.5, Virginia -5.5, Utah State -1.5. Howard +22.5, 20 points in the NCAA tournament. I don't care if it's 16 versus 1. It's just too much. Texas A&M Corpus Christi +23.5. San Diego State -4.5. Arizona -13.5. Auburn -1.5. Oral Roberts +5.5. Texas -13.5. Northern Kentucky +18.5. That's debating on whether Marcus Sasser plays. That will be big time. Louisiana +11.5. Texas A&M -2.5, and then UNC Asheville +17.5. But I think, like Tyler said, I think Texas A&M -2.5 is probably that's probably going to be one of my best bets tomorrow. That would be my probably go-to.
I won't go through all my games. I will say we've got some great 10-7 matchups, including the one at the very end of the night, Penn State, Texas A&M. That might be one of the better games. Louisiana, Tennessee is going to be a great game. Oral Bobs. I'm telling you, man, they're going to hang with Duke. So we got some great games tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it.
My best bet will be Furman +5.5. And then my second best bet, West Virginia -2.5.
Love it.
I like West Virginia a lot. I think that
Love it. Just to, this is off college basketball. We're about to end the show. I know it's gone a little long, but I'm gonna tell you something. I love what the Chicago Bears are doing.
Goodness.
No, I'm not gonna go into it too much. I love what they're doing. I love the chemistry that we're already building. DJ Moore is at a Bulls game with Justin Fields, Darnell Mooney, and Chase Claypool. I love what we're building here. All right.
Love that.
Chase Claypool's still a bum.
I'm not saying, I'm saying maybe not this next season. I'll just be realistic. It's just not gonna be one off season rebuild. We're gonna need another one, and then we'll be good.
Hey, you know what they need to do? Sign Lamar or trade for Lamar Jackson. Justin Fields can be the running back.
Okay. All right, guys. March Madness is the best time of the year. We'll see you later. Bet responsibly. We're winning at every bet besides this one, Nevada. Screw Nevada.
Hey, let's say our bets. What are we at right now?
We'll post some picks each day on Twitter and
5-0.
maybe chalkboard if you guys follow some chalkboard.
5-1.
2-1, 5-0, so 7-1. Garrett.
I'll be 2-2 after today after this huge
if you're counting
loss
this
to
game,
Nevada.
3-1.
Yeah, Nevada killed me.
Yeah.
I didn't bet
3-1.
today. 2-0 yesterday.
Yeah, I went 2-0 yesterday. I'm 0-2
What
today.
are we as a program?
I went 3-0 yesterday.
Yesterday we were all hot. What did you go yesterday, Pam?
I just bet that one game. What was it?
So
No, I bet SEMO. That was my loss.
you bet
He was a
SEMO?
homer and bet SEMO.
Yeah, local.
You that was the freest bet ever.
Hey, local
Plus
team.
3.5.
Hey, I will defend that. Local team.
Yeah,
I
plus 3.5,
understand that,
we lose
but
by
that
4.
was free.
Show 'em a little love, baby.
Yeah.
It was
So that was
free.
my loss. And then I got the Pittsburgh, and then I got FDU, and now I have Arizona State.
Hey, if
And
you
I
tail
I
our
also
bets,
get Arizona State plus 23.5 live bet.
you tail us, you go up money. Just know that. It's like 90%, 90% of the time we're going up money.
Love it. I love it. 5-0. Big hair yesterday. Got a little toasted yesterday. Bet $100 on Pitt money line live at like plus 200.
They hit.
Baby. Hit. But you know what? We're coming back the next day. It's all about consistency. We're not going to do that very much more. Guys, bet responsibly. Let's have a good March Madness. Boots on the ground, bet responsibly. Here we go.